Hello Again Teenage Life by Cecilia Khiangte Chapter 1. The life I never chose. I'm a 33-year-old woman. Not very successful, but working hard. I earn just enough to fill my stomach. I still live with my parents. When I think about my friends, most of them have become successful and are living good lives. Thinking about others often brings me down, but I don't have time to be depressed. I need to finish my project, or my boss will shout at me again for being slow and useless. Oh, I can't even complain about it. I wish I had a job that paid well, but for someone without a college degree, what else can I do? I just have to bear with it. It was Sunday, and I had nothing to do, so I shook off the gloom and cleaned up my room. While tidying, I found my old MP3 player, the one my dad bought me back in high school. After cleaning the whole room, I decided to listen to it. The songs brought back memories. The next morning, Monday, my mom woke me up and told me to hurry up or I'd be late for work. I quickly got ready. She had cooked breakfast, but I was already running late, so I grabbed 2 slices of bread and rushed out of the house. Luckily, I made it to the office just in time. Our team leader, a little stout man, gathered us and told us to push for better sales this month if we wanted bonuses. He's the boss I mentioned, strict, mean, and full of discrimination. I had to prepare for an outing to a nearby town to close a deal with a customer. Our company is small and local. We make different kinds of juice. My job is to find good selling partners and deliver monthly orders. But with so many big companies producing tastier, more popular juices, it's hard to convince new sellers to work with us. Every day, I run around Arizal City trying to find new customers. Sometimes, I travel outside the city too. This time, I had to go to Kolasib to meet a potential client. I introduced our juice to a shop owner, gave her a taste, and showed her the packaging. She liked the taste but said the price was a bit high. When I called my boss, he scolded me again, calling me useless. I was so tired, but I didn't give up. I kept pleading with the shopkeeper, asking her to try selling it just once. If it didn't sell, she could stop. After thinking for a while, she finally agreed. I was so relieved. As I rode my scooter back to Arizal, the sun was setting. I wasn't even scared to be on the road late. I was too happy thinking about the bonus I might get. I plugged in my old MP3 player and sang along to the songs I used to love in high school. It felt nostalgic, and my mind drifted to memories of my old crush. But then, suddenly, a car appeared in front of me. I swerved to avoid it and crashed to the side of the road. I fell off my scooter and hit my head. Everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was at home. My head was spinning a little. I looked around, and I was in my room. From high school. When did I change my room like this? I got up slowly. Just then, my mom barged in, telling me to hurry up or I'd be late for school. School. I thought she was mistaken. But when I looked at the calendar, it said April 4th, 2000. I slapped myself, thinking it was a dream. But it wasn't. I ran out of my room and asked Mom what day and year it was. She said it was the first day of school, my final year of high school. My parents found my behavior strange, but since I was a teenager, they just brushed it off. I quickly washed up and put on my old school uniform. My dad dropped me off at school. Hello Again Teenage Life by Cecilia Khiangte Chapter 2. Second chance. When I reached school, everything and everyone looked the same, except my mind, which was racing to catch up with the moment. I used to be a top student in our class. Until my best friend framed me. I had to drop out. I went through a deep depression. I pleaded with the teachers to believe me, but the evidence against me was too strong. No one could help. My family and I suffered greatly. Our neighbors and relatives looked down on us. I couldn't bear to see my parents hurt because of me. I even tried to take my own life. But my father saved me, just in time. Though the school allowed me to sit for the final exam, I was too broken to even write it properly. I didn't pass, and since then, I've only been able to get low-paying jobs. My parents continued to struggle because of my failures. But now, I have a second chance. This time, I won't be framed again. Since we're just starting our final year, I still have time to prepare and protect myself from betrayal. The girl who betrayed me back then. My best friend, Rosie. But not anymore. This time, I'm going to stay far away from her. When I reached class, she greeted me with a cheerful, "Hi." I didn't even look at her. I walked straight to my seat. Later, she came over and asked if I wanted to study together after school, just like old times. I replied flatly, "I'm a bit busy today. I have to go home early." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw someone watching us. Danny. He was the only person who never changed toward me during those difficult times. Even when the whole school whispered behind my back and called me a cheater, he remained kind. He treated me the same. He was honest. And rare. But after I dropped out, I heard he died. They said he fell from the school rooftop. Some believed it was suicide, others said it was an accident. Whatever the truth, I couldn't forget his kindness. In this life, I'm going to befriend him. I'll try to save him. Though he never had a great reputation, always lazy, always getting into fights, I saw through that. I believed there was more to him. So after ignoring Rosie, I walked straight over to Danny. "Would you like to study with me after school?" I asked. He looked stunned, speechless. I grabbed his arm and dragged him out of the classroom. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Are you in your right mind?" "I just need to stay away from her," I said simply. He didn't seem surprised. In fact, he smirked. "So, you've finally come to your senses." We walked together slowly toward the school gate. "Are you really serious about studying with me?" he asked. "I am," I said. But secretly, I was thinking, I want to stick close to you. I want to protect you. "Where are we going to study then?" he asked. That question caught me off guard. I hadn't thought that far ahead. "Maybe the public library," I offered. He wrinkled his nose. "I don't like libraries. Too quiet. Too uptight." "Then, where?" "Let's go to my house. We have an extra room, perfect for a study hall." I hesitated. He raised an eyebrow. "Are you backing out of what you started?" I shook my head. "Fine. Let's go." His house was large and beautiful. I didn't remember it being this big before. As soon as we entered, a woman with a cold expression stared at me. "Who's this?" she asked sharply. "My name is Molly," I said politely. "We're going to study together." She looked at me in disbelief. Danny came over quickly and pulled me away. "Come on. You don't need to explain anything to her," he muttered. It was awkward, but I followed him. Inside the study room, he apologized for her behavior. "She's my stepmother. We don't get along. She's always mean to anyone who gets close to me." He told me not to worry. As we began studying, I realized he wasn't bad at academics at all. In fact, he was sharp, but completely unmotivated. "Why don't you try harder?" I asked. "You're actually really good at this." He looked away. "Even if I do well, no one cares. So why bother?" His words hit me hard. I looked at him and said, "I care. I want you to do well." He chuckled softly. "You're being silly." "Maybe," I smiled. "But if you do well, I'll give you a reward." He didn't promise anything, but I could tell. He didn't hate the idea. Maybe, just maybe, we could save each other. After 2 hours of studying, he dropped me home. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about him, about how hard his life must be. I felt so thankful for my parents, for their love and loyalty to each other. I promised myself again, this time, I will save this boy. Hello Again Teenage Life by Cecilia Khiangte Chapter 3 Goodbye and hello again. As time passed, everything felt normal again. But one day, I suddenly woke up, lying on a hospital bed. My head throbbed as I looked around, disoriented. My mom was sitting nearby, staring at her phone. I called out to her, and she looked up, eyes wide with relief and joy. She quickly called the doctor to my room. The doctor told me I could be discharged in a few days. Then my mom said something that shocked me. "It's almost time for Danny's death anniversary. You should visit him. You two were so close in high school." I froze. She knew about Danny. In the past, she never even knew his name. But now she did, and even encouraged me to visit his grave. On the day I was discharged, my father came to pick us up. The doctor told me I needed full rest at home for a while. My skull was fractured. But the moment I got home, my phone rang. It was my team leader. He told me to come to work immediately if I didn't want to be fired. I was angry and devastated, but I didn't dare speak up. I felt weak. That's when my parents stepped in. They were furious. My father said, "You've been lying in that hospital for weeks. No one from your company even came to check on you. And now, the moment you're out, they try to drag you back to work. You had that accident because of work, and they won't even compensate you. Quit that job. As long as your mom and I are alive, you will not starve." Tears welled up in my eyes. I felt so grateful. The next day, I went to the office, not to work, but to resign. I handed in my letter silently. I didn't even look at my team leader. He panicked and tried to stop me, fearing the higher-ups might scold him. He pleaded with me to stay. But I'd made up my mind. I walked out without a word, and never looked back. Afterward, he kept calling and texting, begging me to return. I blocked his number. I was done. That night, I kept thinking about Danny. How was he doing? If he had lived. I pictured his handsome face, the way he always smiled despite everything. I wondered what had truly pushed him over the edge. Could I save him this time? My mom entered my room and handed me my old MP3 player. "You were listening to this when you had the accident," she said gently. I thanked her and took it. Without thinking much, I pressed play and let the old songs fill the room. Then, it played, that song. The one I was listening to on the day of the accident. The song I used to love in high school. As the music played, I slowly drifted off to sleep. When I opened my eyes, my mom was calling my name over and over. "Wake up. You're going to be late for school." I sat up, confused. My heart raced. I glanced at the calendar. It was the day. The day I had promised Danny I would help him buy guidebooks and solved question papers for our final exam. I screamed with joy. I jumped out of bed, got ready in record time, and rushed to school. When I entered the classroom, Rosie smiled brightly. "Want to come with me after class to buy study materials?" she asked. I looked at her calmly. "I already have plans. I'm going with someone else." She blinked. "You've really changed." "Maybe. Because I have a reason to." She didn't know what to say. She just stared, confused. After class, Danny approached me. "Do you still remember our plan?" Everyone in the classroom turned to look at us. They whispered, "Wow, they look good together. She shouldn't hang out with him. He'll ruin her reputation." We said nothing and left. At the market, we browsed through books, picking out the ones we needed. Afterward, we went to a small restaurant. As we sat across from each other, enjoying our drinks and food, my heart ached. He was here, alive, smiling, teasing me. And all I could think about was how he died. Tears suddenly welled up in my eyes. He noticed. "Why are you crying? Am I that handsome?" He smirked. "Is my beauty too much for you?" I laughed through my tears. "You're so full of yourself." He was indeed handsome. But hearing him say it made me want to punch him and hug him at the same time. We ate, joked, and teased each other, and then we headed to his house to study. This time, his half-brother, Donald, was home. Older than Danny, Donald was the son of his father's secret lover, a child from an affair before their marriage. Danny's father had hidden that fact from his wife, and only revealed it after marrying Danny's mother. She had married him out of love, but his betrayal broke her. She died of heartbreak. When Donald saw me, he scoffed. "What kind of poor peasant did you bring home this time?" Danny clenched his fists. "Don't talk about her like that." Donald laughed cruelly. "Ooh, are you two dating? Is that why you're suddenly so protective?" Before I could react, Danny lunged at him, fists clenched, rage in his eyes. I quickly stepped in and pulled him away, dragging him into the study room. He couldn't focus after that. He sat, eyes burning, glaring at the door. I began to wonder. Was his death really suicide? Could it have been connected to his toxic family? He suddenly stood up and stormed toward the door. Panicking, I ran after him. And without thinking, I hugged him from behind. Tightly. I didn't know what to say. I just wanted him to feel that someone truly cared. Someone wanted to save him. Hello Again Teenage Life by Cecilia Khiangte Chapter 4. Butterflies and rooftop. We stood there silently, not saying a word. Slowly, Daniz's breath began to steady, and I loosened my grip around him. He turned around and softly said, "Thank you for stopping me. If you hadn't held me back, I might have done something stupid." I smiled gently. I just did what I had to. As a friend. He looked at me for a long moment, then began to open up. He told me everything, how his father had only married his mother for money, how he cheated on her during their marriage, and how soon after she passed away, his father brought home Donald and his mother. From that moment, his relationship with his father fell apart. "But my father doesn't care," he said bitterly. "Mom left everything under my name. And I think they're planning something. I just don't know what to do. I don't know who to turn to." My heart ached for him. I could feel his pain as if it were my own. I hugged him tightly again. "I'll be by your side," I whispered. "Always." I don't know when it happened exactly, but I had fallen in love with him. His beautiful face, the sharp jawline, the kind eyes, that smile. He stared at me with the same look. And slowly, he leaned in and kissed me. I didn't stop him. I had been waiting for this. I kissed him back. Time seemed to stop. My heart fluttered, and I felt warmth in every corner of my being. It was the most beautiful moment. And yet the saddest. Because I knew, in my real future, he didn't exist. But I would change that, no matter what it takes. After the kiss, reality returned, and we both grew shy. I didn't know what to say. So I ran. All the way home, I couldn't stop smiling. When I walked in, Mom asked why I was back so early. "I thought you had group study." I just replied, it was cancelled, and rushed into my room, hugging my pillow, replaying the kiss over and over in my head. But I reminded myself, get it together. You can't lose focus now. And soon, I drifted off to sleep. The next morning, I opened my eyes. And I was no longer in the past. I had returned to the future. No, 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 no. I cried out. This can't be happening. I felt my chest tighten. I missed him, I needed to see him. Suddenly, my phone rang. It was my old classmate, Jenny. "Hey. I don't know if you heard, but Danny is in the hospital. He's been in a vegetative state for 20 years. Since you two used to be close, maybe you'd like to visit him. Before they pull the plug." My blood ran cold. I had changed something. He was alive, but not living. I asked her which hospital he was in, and without wasting a second, I got ready and rushed out. At the hospital, I asked the receptionist for his room and walked toward it with trembling steps. There he was. Lying on the bed, hooked up to life support. Just yesterday, we laughed. We kissed. And now. This. Tears flooded my eyes. I walked closer, held his hand, and whispered, "I'll save you, Danny. I swear I will." I kissed his forehead and softly said goodbye. Then I rushed home. Back at home, I grabbed my old MP3 player, found that same song, our song, and laid on my bed, hoping. Praying. Slowly, I dozed off. And when I opened my eyes, I was back in the past. But this time, 5 months later, right before our second term exams. A few days before I was framed. Panic surged through me. I jumped out of bed, quickly got ready, and ran to school. I searched for Danny, desperate to see him. But when I found him, he turned away. "We don't have anything to talk about," he said coldly. His indifference pierced through me. "What? Why are you like this?" I asked. "You're the one who pushed me away. You said you didn't want anything to do with me. You said it right to my face. I froze. I forgot. My past teenage self must have said those things before I reappeared in this time. I don't understand you, he said. One day you're hugging me, the next you act like I don't exist. Are you okay? Do you have split personality or something? I tried to speak, but he turned away again. Wait. I called. If I told you the truth, would you believe me? I guess, he muttered. The truth is better than lies. Taking a deep breath, I said it. I'm from the future. I came back to change the past. He stared at me like I was insane. Is that your excuse? Really? Then I kissed him. He didn't pull away this time. I'm telling the truth, I said. Rosie will frame me during our second term exams. She betrayed me. I'm not crazy. I need to protect myself. And I need you to believe me. He looked at me, silent. Then he said, if you're really from the future, tell me something that's about to happen. Just then, 3 boys from our class, Jonah, Timothy, and Gary, came running across the hallway. I smiled. Jonah's going to trip. And the other 2 will fall on him. He raised an eyebrow. Moments later, Jonah tripped, and all 3 boys collapsed into a heap. Danny's jaw dropped. What the? He looked at me like he'd just seen a ghost. So, will you help me? I asked. He nodded slowly. I will. I believe you now. I'll help you any way I can. And I'll find out what Rosie's been up to today. Hello Again Teenage Life by Cecilia Khiangte Chapter 5. Truth in the Shadows. The second term exams were only 3 days away. I poured all my energy into studying, determined to do well, and more than anything, I hoped I wouldn't suddenly return to the future. But just in case I did, I started writing everything down in a diary, a message to my younger self. I explained everything that would happen. I told her to trust Danny, to stay close to him, and to believe in herself. I warned her of the danger ahead and urged her to protect both herself and Danny. Since I wouldn't have believed in time travel either, I included something only future me would know, a secret about Mom and Dad. Something that would prove the truth without question. I also told Danny that if my personality suddenly changed again, it would mean I'd returned to the future. He promised to protect the diary and keep everything safe. During those 3 days, Danny and I studied hard. I helped him with subjects he struggled with, and to my surprise, he was incredibly smart. All he had lacked before was motivation. While I focused on studying, Danny handled something much bigger. He hired a private investigator to secretly monitor Rose's activities. The detectives followed her discreetly and documented everything, including photos of her meeting older men at night and selling drugs for money. On the night before the exam, I added everything I could into my diary. I placed a brightly colored note on top of it, hoping that if I vanished, my younger self would find it and know what to do. In the original timeline, I was falsely accused of cheating. Rosie claimed she saw me looking at a paper during the exam and stood up to say, even though you're my best friend, I can't let you do something wrong. The teachers came over and found a folded paper inside my pencil pouch. It looked like I had brought in cheat notes. But I hadn't. A student named Sam had arrived late. He bumped into my desk as he passed, and that's when he slipped the paper into my pouch. There was no CCTV back then. I had no proof. No one believed me. I was expelled. My life fell apart, but this time, Danny changed everything. A few days before the exam, he formally requested that the school install CCTV cameras in every classroom and hallway. He even offered to pay for them himself, saying it was for safety and fairness. The principal agreed. During our 2-day study leave, Danny and a technician secretly installed 4 high-resolution cameras in our classroom, one for each corner, capturing every angle, every movement. Rosie didn't know. The day of the exam arrived. I woke up, still in the past. I was overjoyed. I hadn't returned to the future. I still had time. I rushed to school, heart pounding, and entered the exam hall. Everything unfolded just like before. Sam came in late. He walked toward me and, just like in the past, bumped into my desk, causing my pencil pouch to fall. He picked it up and handed it back to me with a polite smile. But this time, I was ready. This time, we had proof. I focused on the exam, stayed calm, and finished my paper. As I stood up to submit it, Rosie stood up, too. "Teacher," she called out. I saw her cheating. She looked at a paper while writing her answers. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to me. The teachers looked shocked. I had always been a top student. No one could believe it. Still, they asked to check my belongings. As expected, they found a folded paper inside my pouch. Gasps filled the room. But I didn't panic. "I didn't cheat," I said clearly. "Please check the CCTV footage." Rose's face went pale. "What CCTV?" she stammered. The teachers led us to the principal's office. The footage was reviewed in silence. There it was, clear as day. Sam, entering late. Sam, bumping into my desk. Sam, slipping something into my pouch. The room was still as stone. When questioned, Sam broke down and cried. He said, "Rosie paid me to do it. My mom's sick. I needed money to help her." Rosie denied everything, furious and defensive. But the police were called. They investigated Sam's bank account and found a deposit of 50,000 rupees, made just days ago. The account name of the sender, Rosie William. With no more excuses to offer, Rosie finally confessed. She was arrested immediately. Before the police took her away, I asked, "Why did you do it? Why would you hurt me like this?" She looked down and whispered, "I was jealous. I hated always walking in your shadow." Her words stung. All the hope I had left for our friendship vanished in that moment. I looked her in the eye and said, "I hope you reflect on what you've done." I stood outside the principal's office as the police escorted her away in handcuffs. Justice. For the first time in years, I felt free, not just from the false accusation, but from the shame and heartbreak that had haunted me. Danny stood nearby, waiting. He looked at me and smiled. "You did it." But I shook my head and said, "We did it." Hello Again Teenage Life by Cecilia Khiangte Chapter 6. Saving Danny. Rosie and Sam were arrested. Just then, the private investigator that Danny had hired submitted even more evidence, reports, and photos of Rosie dealing drugs and engaging in illegal activities. Her sentence grew heavier. She was no longer just a schoolgirl making a mistake, she was now facing serious charges. After that, our second-term exams went smoothly. There were no more surprises, no more accusations. I felt like I could finally breathe. For the first time, I wasn't carrying my pain alone. I had someone, Danny, who stood by me through everything. But even though we solved one problem, a bigger threat was still ahead. We still didn't know how Danny had ended up falling from the rooftop in the original timeline, or why he'd gone up there in the first place. After exams, regular classes resumed. I watched the calendar anxiously. The date of Danny's accident was approaching fast. We both became extra cautious. I was determined to protect him. I couldn't lose him again. Not this time. Then, one day before the accident was supposed to happen, he didn't come to school. Worried, I called his house. His stepmother answered. "He's sick," she said coldly, and hung up. The next day, Danny returned to class. But he looked pale, tired, like someone who hadn't slept all night. "Are you okay?" I asked. "I'm fine," he replied, forcing a smile. But while we were chatting, he suddenly clutched his stomach in pain. I quickly helped him to the nurse's office. "You should rest," I told him. He smiled again. "You can't miss class for me. Every class counts for you." Even though I didn't want to leave, I listened. But as I neared our classroom, I heard a noise, a struggle. Something felt wrong. I turned and sprinted back. Danny was gone. I searched the hallways, heart racing. I knew where he was. The rooftop. I ran up the stairs as fast as I could. There, just past the doorway, I spotted Danny, unconscious, tied loosely to the rooftop railing. And walking away from him? his half-brother Donald, and another man. I hid behind the wall and watched as they left, laughing. They had tied him up so that the rope would slowly loosen and he would fall. It would look like an accident. Tears filled my eyes, but I didn't panic. As soon as they were gone, I rushed forward and pulled Danny back from the edge. I had saved him. With all my strength, I dragged him back to the nurse's office and told the nurse everything. "Please," I begged. "Someone tried to hurt him. We need to keep it quiet and safe." She agreed. Danny was unconscious, so the nurse took his blood for testing. He had been drugged. Hours later, he finally woke up. I was sitting beside him, holding his hand. "You're safe," I whispered. "I won't let them hurt you." When I told him everything, he was shocked and deeply hurt. Luckily, because Danny had previously donated funds to the school for security, the administration had installed CCTV cameras throughout the building. We retrieved the footage. It showed Donald and the other man dragging him to the rooftop and tying him up. We filed a report with the police. They were arrested. As the investigation deepened, the full truth came out. It was a plan by his father, his stepmother, and his half-brother to get rid of him and take over his inheritance. They were all taken into custody. When it was all over, Danny and I sat together quietly, hand in hand. "I don't know how much time I have left here," I said softly. "At any moment, I might go back to my present. I might disappear. My personality might change again." Danny looked at me and nodded. "I'll wait. No matter how long it takes." And just like that, the world changed again. I woke up in the present, but everything was different. I wasn't in my old room. I was in a bright, modern apartment. Clean, neat, calm. But it felt empty. And then the memories returned, all of them. My father had died. The police said it was a car accident, shortly after he testified against Danny's family. Fate had claimed a price for what I changed. Tears poured down my face. I cried until my chest hurt. I missed my dad. And I missed Danny. Later that day, my mom told me what happened after I left. Danny had graduated and left the country. He never returned. He had become incredibly successful. But he never spoke to anyone from the past. Not even me. He was a good boy, Mom said. He just carried too much guilt. Even though none of it was his fault, he blamed himself. So he left, and now I was here, in a changed present. My past had been rewritten. But the boy I loved was gone. Or so I thought. Hello Again Teenage Life by Cecilia Khiangte Chapter 7. A sweet reunion. One evening after work, I stepped into a small restaurant and found a quiet corner to sit. It was a bit late, but I had another meeting afterwards, so I decided to eat out to save time. As I settled in, I called my mom to let her know. "I won't be home for dinner," I said. "That's okay," she replied, her voice gentle. I hung up and quietly ate my food, trying to clear my mind and prepare for the meeting. The restaurant was warm and softly lit, filled with the low murmur of other conversations. Everything felt ordinary, until I heard a group of girls whispering behind me. "Wow! That guy is so handsome," one said. "I've never seen him before," another added with a giggle. I smiled to myself, not really curious, until something about their voices made my heart twitch unexpectedly. No one is as handsome as Danny, I thought. Not in my eyes. Still. Something nudged me to look. I turned around slowly. And then I froze. There he was. Danny. Standing across the room, tall and composed. His hair was styled slightly differently, and he wore a fitted coat over a simple dark shirt. Time had sculpted his features even more sharply, but his eyes, those calm, deep eyes, hadn't changed at all. And they were looking straight at me. My heart skipped a beat. His expression softened the moment our eyes met. The smile that curved his lips wasn't new. It was the same one he gave me when we first held hands behind the school library. The same one he had when I pulled him away from the rooftop ledge. We both stood up. It was like no time had passed. No words. No questions. Just the silent recognition of 1,000 unspoken memories between us. We walked toward each other. slowly, as if each step carried the weight of everything we hadn't said over the years. When we stopped in front of one another, just inches apart, the silence between us was thick, but not uncomfortable. It was familiar. Full. Fragile. "You're here," I said softly, not trusting my voice to hold. He smiled. "So are you." There was a pause. A heartbeat. "I didn't know if I'd ever see you again," I said. "I was afraid to come back," he replied. "But I never stopped thinking about you." We sat down together at my table. I had forgotten all about my food. It was cold now, but I didn't care. He sat across from me, his hands folded on the table, eyes never leaving mine. "Why did you leave?" I asked. He hesitated for a moment before answering. "Because I blamed myself. For your dad. For everything." "You shouldn't have," I whispered. "You didn't do anything wrong. But I was the reason you had to make that choice. If you hadn't gone back to the past to save me." His voice trailed off, pained. He might still be here. I reached across the table and gently held his hand. "We can't live in what ifs, Danny. I would still choose to save you. Every time." His hand gripped mine tighter. "I read your diary," he said, voice low. "The one you left behind." Tears burned at the back of my eyes. "You kept it?" He nodded. "Every page. Every word. I kept it with me, even when I left. It was the only piece of you I had." I bit my lip. "I missed you so much." He looked at me gently. "I missed you too. More than I can say." For a while, we just sat in silence, soaking in each other's presence. The noise of the restaurant faded. It was like the world had narrowed down to just this table. Just us. "So," I finally said, teasing just a little, "what brings a mysterious heartbreaker like you back to town?" He laughed, the sound like a breeze I hadn't felt in years. "A job offer. And maybe. I was hoping to see someone." "Did you find her?" I asked. He smiled again. "I think I just did." My cheeks warmed. I looked down and nodded. "I thought you forgot about me," I admitted. "Never," he said. "How could I forget the girl who changed my life? Who literally rewrote time for me?" A tear slipped down my cheek, but I laughed too. "You make it sound like a fairy tale." "Maybe it was," he said. "A painful one. But I think we've reached the part where things begin to heal." I looked into his eyes. "Do you think we can start over?" He didn't hesitate. "No," he said. My heart sank for a second, but then he leaned closer. "Not start over," he added gently. "Let's just continue." We sat there for hours, catching up on everything, from where he'd been to how life had changed for both of us. As the night wore on and the restaurant started to quiet down, I glanced at the old MP3 player in my bag. I had carried it with me every day, hoping, somehow, that it still had the magic to bring me back to where he was. But I didn't need it anymore. He was here now. And he wasn't going anywhere.